Thank you for letting me join you today. I want to welcome you not only on my behalf, but on behalf of the Secretary of Education and, frankly, the White House. We appreciate you being here, and I have to say that I am impressed after several weeks of World Cup to see this great showing of unity from countries across the world. I am sure that the people from Germany and Argentina are sitting very close together, and that has been that way all week. International Baccalaureate holds a very special place in the world. And as you do your work, I have to thank you for what you do every day. It must be interesting for you to hear the conversations about education that are happening around the world, and particularly those of you in the US. There's a lot of conversation about real, rigorous college-ready standards and the importance of critical thinking and the importance of teaching young people to take the knowledge that they're gaining and be able to apply it in context, and the need for young people to be global citizens and to be able to think with perspectives about what's going on in the world and how it relates to their lives. I think from what I've read, you guys have kind of been on that one for a while. And so as the world, and the United States in particular, catches up, you providing the leadership in demonstrating what is possible, showing what excellence looks like, but for me, as importantly, as someone especially from the Department of Education, and frankly as someone who shares the personal value set that I do, marrying excellence with equity and access, your work is critically important. I know that you're doing this work here in the US and places like the Valley in Texas. Anybody here from Texas? But I also know that it's happening in Ecuador and Costa Rica and countries throughout the world where people might not think that young people can do the kind of work that you're demanding of them. Places as foreign as the south side of Chicago. That was a joke. We have in this country lots of challenges and lots of opportunity around education. But there is no challenge greater than the challenge of belief. The willingness to see that young people coming from places that many of us find hard to imagine they live in every day have the capability to perform at the levels that you demand of them every day. And yet you show every day that there are young people, many, in some cases in schools, all, who perform at those levels. You show that there is a pathway through your programs to excellence, into high demand from colleges and other programs, now hearing about the intersection with career and technical education, that are transformative. And that is a gift. But here's where I want you to go next. I really need some help. You have created an example, and you're touching thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds, over years, hundreds of thousands of students. But as you know, the capability to touch millions is at your fingertips. The ability to take what you have learned and to share it with the world through technology, to create learning communities that connect in very real ways, not conceptually, but in actuality, young people day to day, so that they're understanding better how their colleagues, how their future, the other future leaders of the world think about what is important, the big challenges facing the world today, what an ethical dilemma it looks like, and how it is shaped by your cultural context. Those are all things that you can do not just with the people in your classrooms, but with young people in your surrounding communities, in your surrounding states, in your surrounding countries, around our globe. And you and your students that you touch every day will be richer for it. So the question is, how do you take this incredible asset that you've built, the incredible talent and skills that you've developed through years of work in your network, and turn it into a force for global transformation? I'm not going to answer that today. You are. So with that, I'd like to thank you not only for what you've done, but for what you will do. I want to talk about, before I go, the role that we hope to play in continuing to support access in this country, and tell you what you can do to make that happen. How many of you are here from the US? Raise your hand. Great. How many of you have students in your schools who benefit from having their fees for the IB test paid for? Okay. One, I'm glad that you all who are benefiting are here. Two, I want to challenge you to have that number double in the coming years, both because more low-income schools are benefiting from the IB program, but also because this country and the people who decide about resources in it recognize the value and the value commitment that is required to create access for especially our most underserved, high-achieving students. As hard as it is to get our young people who come from impoverished backgrounds to the levels of achievement that you require, we should never, 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 never let a measly amount of money as the assessment fee get in the way. But here's the deal. How many of your congressmen know about the low-income IB graduates in your community? How many mayors have told that story or stood next to them on the stage? How many city council people? How many state representatives? I've learned a few things in being in government. This is my first time in. But like all people, our elected representatives are moved by stories. They are moved by real people. And then they hold up evidence to support the story they like to tell. You have to give them those stories. So transform the world, but transform your communities first. We'll be there to help, but I can only go so far without you. Thank you for what you do and what you're going to do. Do it big.